Hey, it's Patti Scharf, CPA and co-founder of Catching Clouds, a leader in e-commerce accounting. Today I am answering the question, should you open another e-commerce company? This is a question we get all the time, like almost on a daily basis does somebody ask us this question. So let's jump in. All right, before you take any action at all, I want to make sure that you know that we're talking about like legal stuff and tax stuff and different kinds of implications, things that I am not qualified to advise you on. I don't know your situation anyway, so make sure that you talk to a qualified tax professional and an attorney before you take any like major steps in your business, all right? Typically, when somebody asks us if they should open another company, our first question is going to be, I don't know. What are you trying to accomplish when you do that, right? So here's some of the big reasons why it might be a good idea to open another company. The first one, which is pretty clear-cut, I think, in my opinion, is if you have different ownership. So let's say you start out one company over here, you build it up into a sizable, cool thing. Somewhere along the way, you have dream number two, and dream number two involves collaboration with somebody else. So maybe this other company might be a partnership or something where two of you have a financial interest in that business, whereas the first one is just yours alone. So if you want to create something that has different ownership, there's a pretty good chance you're going to want to create a whole separate entity for that other business. The second reason we hear is that maybe somebody wants to limit their liability in a real way. So maybe you've got a product that you're selling over here and you want to start selling a different product that maybe is a little riskier than the first product or something like that. I've seen some companies who have wanted to do this, just set up a whole separate company and keep that isolated over there. That might be a good option, but you might also look into just getting some product liability insurance or some other types of insurance that would protect you without having to go through all the administrative headache and burden of having overhead for two full companies. Another reason that people might want to open another company or think it might be a good idea is because they want to escape all the sales and use tax drama that they see going on. They know that they haven't been treating sales tax properly, maybe they haven't been collecting, or worse, they've been collecting but not remitting, and they just want to close the chapter on that company and start up a new company. I would strongly advise against doing this. You know, those kinds of liabilities, they follow you around personally, not just with your business. So definitely, if you have concerns about that, you should be talking to a sales and local tax expert. We call them a SALT expert, and find out what your exact situation is, and maybe they can help you kind of at least limit your exposure and stuff like that. A fourth reason why somebody might want to start up a second company, or a third or fourth or fifth, is maybe they have a specific brand line or product line that they want isolated to just this other company because they have the intention of selling that business off. So they want to have completely separate sets of books, completely separate bank accounts, credit cards, and everything that keeps this one entity super clean, so that when it comes time to sell it, it's super visible, the activity that's going on in the business. It's super easy to transfer the assets or the ownership of that entity. So that might be another good reason to do it that way. Another thing that we've seen quite a few times is people who have set up a separate company for each specific brand or product or line or whatever it is, and pretty soon they've got 3, 4, 5, 6 entities and growing. And most of the people that we've talked to have been in that position have really regretted that decision, because there are ways that you can keep track of your different brands and products and everything in your financials without having to have completely separate companies. You can just create separate stores. We have one client who has, I think, like 16 Shopify stores, but one company, because we can keep track of all the performance of all those different brands within one file, within one entity, so you don't have the administrative burden of having a whole other company. And here is a bonus tip for you. For all of you who are selling on Amazon, you can now actually open additional Amazon stores. It's just, you have to be extremely careful about how you do it. You need to ask Amazon's permission. You basically just send an email to the seller performance team at seller-performance@amazon.com. So you send them an email and you say, I want to open another store. And the reason why I want to open another store is insert valid reason here. So like, some good reasons, maybe you're selling kitchenwares over here and you want to sell books, or you're selling clothing and you want to sell nutritional supplements or whatever. Like if they should be totally different product lines, totally different like kinds of products and things. You want a valid reason for why you have an additional store. They're going to require that you use a separate email address from your original store. They're going to require that you have a separate bank account and a separate credit card from your original store. Those two accounts should not interact at all. Do not leave feedback on store A from store B or anything like that. Like these should be totally separate. Pretend like you guys aren't related at all, because in theory that's how Amazon sees it. That's how they want to treat it. But when you send that email, make sure that you get permission from Amazon. You do not want to try and circumvent the system, because they will shut down probably one, if not both of your stores if you do that. So make sure you get permission before you go down that path. So that covers most of the reasons we hear about why people might want to open another company. But I'm sure it's not an all-inclusive list. I'm sure there are a gazillion reasons why somebody might want to open another company. But let me give you some of the implications of opening another company so you can take those into account while you're weighing whether your reason for opening another company is really going to be worth the cost of doing so. Number one, it increases complexity. So you go from watching company A, now you've got two companies, company A and company B. So you're tracking the performance over here, and now you're tracking the performance here, but wait, I want to track the performance of both of them together. So it's one of those cases where 1 + 1 = 3 and not 1 + 1 = 2. So there are lots of moving parts and hoops to jump through, and if you think running one e-commerce business is bad, try doubling that. Second reason, and this is probably the second biggest reason that it's a problem, is it increases your compliance. So you've got two entities, you have to treat them completely separately. So you open up a bank account over here, you have to open a bank account here. You have to open up a credit card here, a credit card here. You have to, like everything that you were doing over here, it doubles or more if you have more than just two entities. So you've got all those administrative kind of burdens. You're paying for both seller accounts if you've got two Amazon accounts. You're paying for both Shopify accounts. And now it's tax time, and you're filing two federal tax returns, income tax returns. And if you're filing in lots of different states, let's say you've got Nexus in, I don't know, 20, 30 more states, times two, it can be a huge compliance burden for you. And if you are, let's say you want both of your companies to be S corporations, now you've got payroll that you have to set up for both of your companies. If you don't know what I'm talking about or why those two things are related, go see my video on reasonable compensation. But now you've got payroll tax filings for both companies. And worst of all of them is sales tax. Now you've got to register, collect, remit, file sales tax in up to 45 different states. It obviously depends on the size of your business. If you don't know what I'm talking about with sales tax, go watch my sales tax. I've got a playlist here that has all of our top sales tax videos to kind of give you insight into what's been going on in the industry. So if you didn't like filing 45 sales tax returns before, you're really not going to like filing 90 now. And then the last reason why you might not want to open that second company is sheer due to the cost. I mean, if you have all this increased compliance, those income tax returns and sales tax returns aren't going to file themselves. You're going to be paying money to be taking care of all of those responsibilities, and your bookkeeping costs are going to go up, your insurance costs will go up, like everything goes up. Whereas if you're just adding products to an existing company, it's not as much of a burden. So with all of that said, I think to sum it up, our position is usually the simplest you can make it is probably the best. Try and figure out what kind of problem you're trying to solve, and then see if you can figure out a workaround. And I guess that's it. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll catch you later.